Hello and welcome to the first installment of the Index Sports Show. I'm Blake Toppmeyer, the editor-in-chief of the newspaper. I have with me Jack Nicholl, sports editor, and Brent Foster, assistant sports editor. Each week we're going to try to go over a major athletic event for Truman from the previous week, and this week we're going to discuss Saturday's football game. On Saturday, Truman lost to Minnesota State-Mankato 31-13. Truman was trailing 24-6 at the half, and as I said, final score 31-13. Jack, what were your thoughts on the way Truman performed on Saturday?
Well, Truman showed some good things. They had some new players into the game, new quarterback, some new defensive players. I think one of the keys to the game here, Truman just wasn't able to sustain any momentum. They get the OK kickoff back inside the 20. They have to settle for a field goal. In the beginning of the second half, they block a punt. Again, they had to settle for a field goal. And they just weren't able to ever get the score close.
Yeah, Jack, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Truman really made too many mistakes to win a football game. You know, you come down, you got to score points in the red zone. You know, 3 trips to the red zone early on, you only get 6 points. You should get 21 points out of those 3 trips. That really hurts. Then the fumbles. Truman had 5 fumbles. I can't remember the last time. The Bulldogs fumbled the ball 5 times. They only lost 2 of them. Davis picked off twice. Would have been picked off 2 more times, but a couple of roughing the passers on Mankato nullified those. And you had lack of running game. Davis, the leading rusher, had just 60 yards. After that, I believe, Vanessa Mockpie, the second leading rusher, just 18 yards. So no running game and too many mistakes to overcome to beat a good football team.
You mentioned Phil Davis, quarterback Phil Davis, first career start for him. He's been Matt Tissage's backup for the last couple of years. Came into the game with just 8 career passes. Had his first career start. Was 18 out of 34. A couple interceptions, a touchdown, right around the 200-yard passing mark. What do you guys think about the way Davis played in his first start at quarterback?
Well, Davis, the whole time I was trying not to compare him to Tissage, but I don't think you can help it but to do that. And I think Davis had a few passes that were incomplete. He didn't hit his target. Tissage would have hit the target. And you see that by the 2 interceptions and then 2 other interceptions he threw that were nullified by a roughing the passer penalty. But then I did like that Davis, a lot of times he stayed in the pocket, he avoided a tackler, and he found a receiver, and that's something that Tissage would not have done. Tissage probably would have ran out of bounds, maybe gained a few yards.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jack. And the other thing to look at with Davis is, he's a junior, but he's still young. This was his first chance. I think he's only going to get better. His numbers were not that bad. He struggled starting out with the game. I think he kind of found a little bit of a rhythm as the game went along. Like you said, I agree with you about how Tissage would probably pulled the ball down and run. Davis was able to stay in the pocket. And then Davis's scrambles were pretty decent. Most of those plays he ran were not designed runs; they were scrambles, and so he was able to pick up some yards that way.
Now, first game for head coach Aaron Vlecko as the head coach, obviously former offensive coordinator. I talked to Vlecko in the spring, and I kind of got the impression that maybe using a 2 quarterback system early in the season. Did you guys think we'd see more of Taylor Breen? Breen just had 3 plays in the game, or was that kind of what you expected?
I thought we were going to see more Breen, especially once Truman fell behind. I thought Vlecko would put Breen in. As Blake said, Truman was behind by 3 or 4 scores at the half, and against a ranked team, you just don't have a good chance of a comeback. And so getting Breen in there, getting in some reps, probably would have been a good idea. And Brent and I talked to Vlecko after the game, and Vlecko said that he planned on using 2 quarterbacks. He really didn't, except for a couple plays where Davis was hurt. But I expect to see Breen more next week, as it's another non-conference matchup.
Yeah, I also agree that I think Breen will play more the level of the opponent of Oklahoma State. Not nearly as good as Minnesota next week. But I was a little surprised Breen didn't play. But I thought if he would have come into the game, it would have only been for I think a series or 2. I really think that this is just maybe my opinion. I think Vlecko is trying to give Davis a chance to develop. He's been in this program for now this is his 4th year here. So I think he's giving him a chance. Now that Matt is out of the way, just to see what he can do before he hands the reins off to Breen or whatever the case may be.
Now, the defense in this game is kind of a strong point at times for Truman last year, forced a lot of turnovers last year. Seemed a little shaky in the first half, allowing 24 points, then rebounded fairly well in the second half. What did you guys think about the way the defense performed overall?
Well, the defense is all about adjustments, and that's what they're always going to do every game. The second half, they obviously made some right adjustments. Defense did not give up any points, 7 points. Minnesota scored in the second half, came on a pick six. But the thing I didn't see was turnovers, and that's what we saw last year. And Truman was -2 in the turnover battle. And if they're going to win games this year, they have to win the turnover battle.
Yeah, that's going to be key. I mean, the defense can force 3 and outs and can stop them all they want. But if they're put in a bad position, they're going to have to force turnovers. And they didn't do that. I don't know if it's young defense not quite ready for that or what the deal was. But overall, the second half defense played much better. Blecko credited a lot more substitutions in the second half to get fresher bodies in the game. He said that was one of the reasons why he thought it's good. I mean, I would also think that Mankato was probably playing a little more conservative in the second half. After building a halftime lead, they weren't going to come out and air it out and try and score 50 points they were playing to win. So that could have played part of it too.
Now, early in the game, opening kickoff, Truman returns it deep inside Mankato territory. They get it inside the 10, 4th and goal from the 3-yard line. They send on the field goal unit. Mickey Masucci hits the field goal. Right call in that situation? Do you go for 4th down, try to get the touchdown there early in the game, or was it right to send on Masucci for the field goal?
I think it was right to send on Masucci for the field goal. Obviously you get a lot of momentum going with the kickoff return, and it's a bummer they didn't score a touchdown, but you can't add on to that by not coming out of that with 0 points. And Masucci, he usually makes them from 20 yards, from 30 yards and in. He did miss, I think it was a 35-yarder later in the game, but he's money from inside that distance, and you just walk away with 3 points and then see how the rest of the game goes.
Yeah, I agree. You want to score 3 points, and I think adding to that is that drive started at the 16. I think they got down to 5. The 5 yards those were on penalties, so they only gained 6 yards in multiple plays. So the chances of them getting the 3 yards, in one play after they failed to do it the last 3 plays, just not high likely unless you're going to run some kind of trick play. And I think it worked. And I think it was the right call as you go on because the defense held Mankato to punt, so then they got the ball right back, 3-0 lead. You had a chance to go up, 6 or 10-0, which they couldn't do. But yeah, definitely I think that was the right call.
Bulldogs be back on the field this Saturday at home, Stoke Stadium, 12 noon kickoff time against Oklahoma Panhandle State. So final impressions from last Saturday. What does Truman have to do a little bit better maybe this Saturday to get a win this week?
Well, I mentioned this earlier, but they have to sustain momentum when they get it. They can't have a big gain and then just stop the offense. And again, the defense. Getting turnovers will be key. Panhandle is a weaker team than Minnesota Mankato is, but Truman still has to come out, bring their A game, build on the home field advantage, and come out with a W.
Yeah, I think something that they need to do is establish more of a run game. They were unable to do that. Part of that, they're playing from behind from the second quarter on, so maybe, if they can get out to an early lead, then maybe that'll take, I think, some of the pressure off Davis and or Breen if he comes into the game. If they can get the run game going, which they weren't able to do last week against Mankato.
Brent and Jack, thank you guys. We'll be back next week breaking down the game against Oklahoma Panhandle State. So tune back into our website, www.trumanindex.com, and we'll break down the action for you from Saturday.